And this is Isaiah 42 and verse 13. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. Kal halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rukwah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the brothers on down, teaching, preaching, pushing this gospel, good news to four corners of the earth, waking up the hopeful elect of Israel. Greetings also to the few sisters that tune into these video epistles. The wind really raging on the island here in Jamaica. This is rural Jamaica where I'm speaking to you from. Very, very gusty winds. So let's see if I can get through and do some shouting here. I wanted to do a brief lesson. I actually woke up with this video clip in my mind. Unfortunately, I don't have a way of doing videos the way I would like, so no excuses. I just go ahead, press the record button, get a few scriptures done, and do a lesson in the best way I can. So I suppose this lesson really would, I'm calling it, I'm Spartacus. But it's to whom it may concern, because I woke up with this video clip from this old movie with Kirk Douglas starring. And just to paint the picture, he was leading, he's a Roman slave. And in this clip, the slaves, obviously under the threat of death, they were spared being put to death under one condition, that they identify their leader, whose name was Spartacus. Of course, they have him being played by what appears to be an Edomite. I wouldn't know what Kirk Douglas was. I wouldn't be surprised if he is actually a Hebrew Israelite himself. So they had to identify their leader in order to avoid being put to death. So these were slaves. This Spartacus, he was a, here's my notes here, he was a gladiator and he led the slaves. He had led revolts of tens of thousands, they said up to 100,000. I was just checking on Wiki, on the Google search there. And he defeated Roman forces several times. So they wanted to get rid of him, and they was prepared to offer give like a stay of execution, so to speak, to all of the men. So they had them all gathered up in chains in this particular movie scene. And what happened when they wanted all these men to give up their leader Spartacus, and they shouted out this powerful scene in the movie, all you have to do is give up your leader. See? So this powerful scene when all the slaves, they stood up one by one saying, I am Spartacus, deliberately hiding the leader from certain death and causing confusion and frustration to the Romans, who of course were Edomites. We can't go a lesson without talking about this white man. He's in current rulership. He was in rulership then. This is around about 100 years prior to Yahweh Shai. That's our power. Yahweh means the creator of the heavens and earth. And he does it through his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. He's our high priest and mediator in the heavens. Just been a little bit distracted here with all this wind that is blowing. So back to this movie clip. All these thousands of men, slaves, gathered up, Hebrew Israelites. And one by one they stood up claiming or proclaiming, I'm Spartacus, causing this confusion and frustration to the Edomite, the Roman soldiers. Their army didn't know what to do. So as I say, this is just to whom it may concern. Make of it what you will. But it was heavy in my spirit that the war strategy of our power, his ways are not our ways. And I just wanted to read a few scriptures here, this so-called controversy. I mean, I'm just a new guy. You can put aside whatever I have to say. I come in all humility. Isaiah 42 and verse 14. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. That's our power. Let's have a few scriptures. I didn't really want to put too many. Joshua 6. Because as Joshua, who was the successor to Moses, was going to move into the promised land, he had to do away with and defeat many of the occupants of the surrounding area, as well as those who were actually in the land. So he had to defeat many armies. So he really was a warrior, high quality man of the Most High. Joshua 6, let's just read 2 and 3. And the Lord, whose name is Yahweh, said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. Joshua 8, and just read the first 2 verses here. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise, go up to Ai. See, I have given into thy hand the king of Ai, and his people, and his city, and his land. And thou shalt do to Ai and her king as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall ye take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee an ambush for the city behind it. War strategy is, I guess, what we're speaking about. And when we consider the ultimate strategies, you have to ask yourself, those involved in this so-called controversy, who we're actually dealing with here. Is he likely to reveal his hand? Isaiah 47, just read 3 and 4. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Who's this? That's the Edomites, that white man again. These were the top magicians and sorcerers and all their witchcraft. That's how they function. That's how they have the darkness. They call themselves the illuminated ones, but their light is darkness, is wickedness. That's all they're about. And this is referring to the daughter. So your daughter comes after you. It's them. For thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. I was wroth with my people. I polluted mine inheritance, and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, thou art, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Who is it that's thinking they're so big and bad they can't be touched? They're bouncing around the earth with all their weapons, bullying and stealing, murdering, raping, taking everybody's stuff. I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these 2 things shall come to thee in a moment. In one day the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. I'll leave it there for now. We're just looking at this. I was just reflecting on this clip. I'm thinking, how all these men stood up, hiding their war strategy. You know, poker faces, hundreds, thousands of men standing up, distracting and confusing or causing confusion, I should say, to their oppressor. Let's just finish up with this. Exodus 15, 1-3. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, whose name is Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and song, and he is become my salvation. He is my power, and I will prepare him an habitation, my father's power, and I will exalt him. The Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is a man of war. The Lord is his name. I'm purposely keeping this lesson short. There's a bunch of scriptures you could use in parallel with, for example, the Maccabees, who was to follow not long after under the same Roman, well, the Greeks. If I'm mixing up my history there, which way around, I get confused sometimes with the timings. Well, the Greeks was first, so the Maccabean would have been a parallel, which would have happened shortly before as the Greeks. But these were the same people, the Edomites, you see. So this war strategy, like a defense of concealment and playing your cards close to your chest. So I say this is to whom it may concern, this particular video. And I'm not going to stretch it beyond where it needs to be. You'll be listening to I'm Spartacus. Shalom. Until the next one.